Good morning, this is Mr. Weisfeld. It's Monday, February 24th, 2014. We're going to review Chapter 7, Activity 1 and Activity 2. So let's get started. Major concepts that we covered in Activity and Activity 2, Activity 1 and Activity 2, that's what I want to talk about. I want to tie up some loose ends at the end of Activity 2. We also have a formative assessment this week on Activity 1 and Activity 2, probably later this week. And I want to get started on Activity 3. So, Activity 1, first we started off with saying, what does it look like when something's not organized? We looked at a store, everything's scattered through the store, things all helter-skelter, you don't know where things are, doesn't really make your shopping very efficient. We talked about this guy, Dmitry Mendeleev. He took a disorganized list of chemical elements, sorted them by increasing mass, and while that wasn't shocking, he also grouped them by certain properties when he sorted them, and that was the shocking part, because he left gaps in his list which were able to predict elements that hadn't yet been discovered. So we owe the periodic table to Dmitry Mendeleev, like the 1800s, and what we found is it's lasted up until the current time as good enough, in fact great, for helping us organize the elements. So elements, everything in the known universe, all their properties, and we can predict how things will behave if they're new, like they haven't been discovered yet. Alright, let's review what we mean by periodic. We say that a lot. I want to make sure we understand what it's about. So each row in the table is called a period. And so as you add protons to an atom, remember we're increasing its atomic number, we also increase the number of electrons. As you do that, you get different atoms, but we see in the atoms that there are qualities that repeat. So there's a couple qualities we like to talk about. Chemical properties, how they react, if they combine with other things to make other new materials, and then physical properties, how they look, or if you can stretch them into wires, ductility, or if they are conductive, etc. In fact, we'll say that the groups, so the columns of the periodic table, are very similar, so they'll contain things that behave similarly. Okay, so the periodic table is pretty huge in chemistry, as you might imagine, and we've only really scratched the surface of everything that is in the periodic table. But here are some things you need to know, you need to be able to do when you look at the periodic table. You need to be able to tell me what the atomic symbol of an element is and what its atomic number is. Remember, the atomic number is the number of protons. You need to be able to tell me if it's a metal, a nonmetal, or a metalloid, so something that's a combination of metal and nonmetal properties. You need to be able to tell me if it's a solid, a liquid, or a gas. And you need to tell me what group, the column it's in, and the period it's in. We also have some fancy names for certain groups, for certain columns. You need to know those too. So here's a snippet of the table. Let's do an example. You should be able to tell me that sodium down there is Na. That's the atomic symbol. It has 11 protons and 11 electrons, of course. It's an alkaline metal because it's in group 1. It's in the group farthest to the left, group 1, and it's in period 3. Sweet. Activity 2. So that was basically Activity 1, just getting kind of a start on the periodic table. Activity 2 was talking about chemical properties versus physical properties. So you need to know the difference between the two. So let's review. Chemical properties have to do with reactions. An element can combine with other elements to create new substances. Physical properties are qualities of an element that don't involve being combined with other elements. You can study that without kind of changing the element or combining it with others. And it's true, we've been saying elements a lot, that word itself, and we want to make sure we understand that an element, so I'll read this slow, is made up of one or more, so 1, 6, 12, whatever, single atoms, only single atoms. They're all identical, and it's not a mixture or a combination of other atoms. Alright, so what are the properties that we talked about in Activity 2? Specifically conductivity. It's the ability for something to conduct heat or electricity both, and it turns out they're very linked. They're very much linked. And it's almost entirely a metal question. If you're a metal, you're conductive. If you're not a metal, you're not conductive. Reactivity is a tendency of some elements to combine with other elements. We'll see a bunch of patterns in the periodic table around reactivity, but we just want to say in activity 2 that metals generally, by and large, and mostly magnesium was the best one, but they react with hydrochloric acid. Nonmetals do not react with acids. Hydrochloric acid, HCl, is an acid. Magnetism, okay, so we did this little magnet lab. You held some things up to the magnet, and if you thought at the beginning of that activity that all metals were magnetic, then you would have found that that was a false prediction, and so only elements that contain iron are magnetic. Alright, so big part of activity 2 was getting to know some elements. So if I start talking about an element, you should be able to tell me more things about it, especially if we've talked about these in class. And that was because we saw them. We were able to touch them. We weren't supposed to touch them, but some people did. And they were in activity 2. So let's see if we can give this a try. Are you ready? Here we go. First one. Name of the element. How many protons does it have? Is it a metal, a non-metal, or a metalloid? So you want to take out your periodic table. Somewhere you've got it, maybe in your notebook or something. Take a look. Tell me what you see. Does it conduct electricity? Does it react with hydrochloric acid? And is it magnetic? So, you ready? Pause the video. See if you can answer these questions. Alright, we're back. It's aluminum, says so right there. Atomic number is 13. That means its number of protons is 13. It's a metal, but it's also called a poor metal. It's just kind of under the line of the metalloids on the table, and it's not in the transition metal, so we call it a poor metal. It's conductive, definitely, conducts electricity. It's reactive, slightly reactive with hydrochloric acid, and it was not magnetic. Alright. What's the name? How many protons? Same questions as before. Pause a minute. See if you can answer these questions. Alright, here we go. It's copper, like I said. 29. It's a metal. It's conductive. Yes, it reacts with hydrochloric acid. And it's conductive and it's not magnetic. Alright, next one. I mixed the questions up a little bit. What group is this element in? What's a common name for that group? Is it a metal, non-metal, or metalloid? Does it conduct electricity? Does it react with hydrochloric acid? Is it magnetic? Alright, I didn't let you pause. It's in group 17. Those are called the halogens. Very reactive based on the video we saw. It's a non-metal. It's not conductive. It does not react with hydrochloric acid, and it's not magnetic. That was iodine. Apologize to people that were allergic to iodine or had trouble with iodine. Hopefully you're not reacting right now. You're doing great. Tell me about this element. You can pause for a minute, and then we'll go over it. Alright, it's in group 8. Common name for elements like this is the transition metals. It is a metal then. It's conductive. It's reactive somewhat with hydrochloric acid, and it is magnetic. In fact, this is the most magnetic thing out there. Other things are, but if you have iron, then you're magnetic. Alright, 5 more to go. Answer these questions. I'll pause a minute. Alright, magnesium is in group 2. The common name for that group is alkali earth metals. It is a metal. It does conduct electricity. It does react. Oh man, it doesn't react. Bubbles galore. And it's not magnetic. Here's the elements. Take a quick look again. Next one up. This one's interesting. I ask a different question here. Take a look at these questions. See if you can answer them. Then we'll go over them. Pause. Alright, group 14. What's made from silicon? Glass. We saw this in the video on Friday. It is a metalloid. It's on that line. It's got partial metal, partial non-metal properties. It's not conductive. It's not reactive. It is not magnetic. Not to say it's boring, because it's in almost everything electronic. Okay, this one stinks. What group is it in? What color? I'll pause. You can answer them. Here we go. It's in group 16. It's yellow. It's a non-metal, does not conduct electricity, and it is not reactive with hydrochloric acid, and it's not magnetic. 2 more to go. I'll pause to let you think about this one. I changed the question. Alright, zinc. Zinc's in group 12. Yes, our body has zinc in it. It's a trace metal. We have it in our bodies. It's a metal. It's a transition metal. It is conductive of electricity. It does react with hydrochloric acid. At least you should have seen that. And zinc is not magnetic. It's not. Last one. What group is this element in? Does our body have this in it? Is it a metal, non-metal, or metalloid? Is it a solid, liquid, or a gas? New question. Does it conduct electricity? I'll let you think about this. Pause a moment. Alright, it's in group 14. Yeah, it's a major building block of life. Good heavens, this one's important. Of course. It's a non-metal. It's a solid. Not normally conductive. It's not reactive, and it's not magnetic. Okay, so you're done. One more thing. Please go to this URL. You have to type this in, tiny.cc/2014-0224. That's today's date. Take an online quiz on this material. We're trying this out, this video, this quiz. If you've got some feedback, let me know. I'd love to hear it. But thanks for your attention today.